Welcome to Fun and Games Side Quests. Every episode is a different host sharing a video game they love and why they love it.
Hey everyone, I'm Case Aiken, and yeah, I'm back on Side Quests to talk about something cool, because this is a show about people talking about video games that they find cool for some reason. And gosh darn it, I want to talk about ninjas. Yeah, I've talked about ninjas before. I talked about Mark of the Ninja, one of my favorite stealth action games of all time. But today I want to talk about something a little bit more sword swinging, a little bit more retro in its style, and that is Shinobi Art of Vengeance, which came out in 2025. This is the latest entry in the venerated Shinobi series from Sega, which is a ninja series going back to the arcades. And it's one that I have a particular affection for, but a unique one to say the least. A lot of people got involved in the Shinobi franchise from the video games that were in the arcade or on the Sega Genesis. My introduction, however, came via the Sega Game Gear. And that means that my affinity for the series is really rooted in kind of a weird version of the franchise, because the Game Gear versions of Shinobi were extremely different games. To set this up, the original Shinobi was, despite the fact that it was about a ninja, more of a run and gun style of game. Think like Contra, but instead of guns, you're using shuriken. And that style continued from the arcades to the Genesis to later iterations like the Saturn version of the game. But the Game Gear game, well, for one thing, focused on a ninja with a sword, which, you know, would seem to be table stakes for a ninja game. And for another, was kind of like a Mega Man game. The whole nature of that series was that you started off as the red shinobi who was able to free his allies. And then once you freed allies, you were able, just in a drop-down menu, when you paused, to switch between them, and each character had different weapons to use. So like I said, a ninja version of Mega Man, which is just incredible that I can get to say those words. Well, the new game decided to actually borrow a lot of that from the Game Gear game. Clearly, the team over at Lizardcube, who developed this game, were big fans of the Game Gear one, because there's so many nods in this new Shinobi game. But that said, it's not a Mega Man game with a ninja coat of paint. This is actually more of an arcade-style Metroidvania, which is to say that it has some of those Metroidvania style. You get to explore the terrain. You get to find out all about this sort of space that you're inhabiting, and get cool power-ups to get you through areas that were gated off to you beforehand. But it has all these wonderful nods to the Game Gear games. You get different color options, and the first one you get is pink, which is usually the character I would go for first when trying to do the order of bosses, because just like a Mega Man game, you have a specific clear order that makes the most sense to you. And so it was fantastic to get that. And so this game scratches a lot of itches just because of the nostalgia standpoint. But even if it didn't have that nostalgia going for it, this would be a fantastic game. I have to say that this might be the most cathartic video game I have played in the last 5 years. I can't think of one that jumps to mind in any way that replicates just how smooth a game this is. We are talking about a beautiful, lush, modern 2D HD kind of video game with a control scheme that just gives you so much. This is one of those games where you're extremely overpowered. You're not very durable, and that's sort of the way the game is balanced, but you have a lot of stuff you can do. The bosses of this game are entirely predicated on wiping the floor with you before you have the chance to wipe the floor with them. It's a game where you feel like you are aggressive and strong and able to do all kinds of really cool ninja stuff, while at the same time it keeps the balance going by giving you lots of health power-ups to keep you alive, but you're pretty fragile. You can't take that many hits in this game, even after you get a lot of boost to your health, assuming you're playing at the normal difficulty. Which the nice part about this game is that it is a modern video game, so the difficulty curves are, or the difficulty settings, I should say, are customizable. So you can actually decide, like, okay, I have the following things that I have a hard time with, and so I'm going to make those parts a little bit easier, but I can make other parts harder if I want to, or however you want to do it. For the record, I played through on the normal difficulty setting, which is hard. Like the bosses especially, they will wipe the floor with you with some very cheap patterns, just because it's a tough video game with a classic kind of Sega arcade ethos to it. But that is fine, because even though I had to replay so many boss fights so many times, eventually you get the pattern. Eventually you figure it out, and the game makes you feel so gosh darn good for having accomplished these incredible, fierce battles with these titanic foes that you're pitted against. It's such a cool game. I can't speak enough about just how lush the graphics are, how beautiful every stage is. It does have stages. It's not, when I say it's a Metroidvania style game, it has those elements, but it's not a true Metroidvania. You have a stage select screen, which is carries forward a story element to it. There is a bit of a world map aspect to it, like it's laid out like a map. But it's sectioned off in terms of the storytelling of the game. Which is fine. Like the story is, it's a story of vengeance. You're playing as Joe Musashi, the original Shinobi character from the series, and you are now the instructor to a clan of ninjas. But that clan gets wiped out in the first mission by an evil corporation, and your entire path is that of vengeance against this corporation and its head, who is revealed to be probably like a damaged soul unto themselves, but one who has gone through necromantic magic to become a terrifying dark god that you ultimately have to take down. You kill a lot of things that are supposed to be immortal in this game. I should note that it's very interesting how they approach the concept of death in this world, because you can kill it. Everything in this game you can kill, and you're gonna feel really cool when you do so. It has awesome special moves. It has a bunch of mechanics that are probably less relevant. Like there's these like focus powers that you can do throughout the game that use your ninja magic, but are fairly mundane abilities. Some of them are call outs to things like the Game Gear, like a giant shuriken throwing thing. But they're not necessarily the main crux of your fighting style. And to that note, neither are the shuriken or the kunai knives. So there are a lot of people who are stalwart fans of the franchise who are going to be disappointed because the core aspect of most Shinobi games is a downplayed focus. Your knives are very strong, actually. I actually rather like just how powerful they are. They are not weaker than your sword, for starters. They're just very limited until you really level up and get a access to a lot more of them. So for a good chunk of the game, you're not going to be able to use your knives very often in combat. You have to use your sword, which just sort of makes this more Game Gear-like feeling than the other members of the series. And that's the thing that people are kind of disappointed about. I find it not a huge deal once you get really into it, especially because the combat is just so good. You have a horizontal and a vertical slash, or a quick and a heavy slash, depending on your interpretation of it. And they are very useful for setting up combos, for doing all kinds of things, and you unlock tons of moves. Like the game has a shitload of unlockables, and it is just impressive how much you are just encouraged to play the game to gain access to more stuff to use. And some of this you'll find in the missions. Some of this you have to just like save up from money that you pick up off of foes that you kill, and you can buy at a shop system that they have. But the whole game is just so cool. There's tons of great power-ups. Some of them have drawbacks, so there's a real meta that goes into it in terms of figuring out, like, okay, well, like in a boss fight, you can use the vampiric power-up that drains health out of the thing that you're fighting, but means that you don't get conventional health power-ups while you're fighting, because in the boss fights you don't get health power-ups typically. And so there's a cool meta there. There's other power-ups that are like, okay, your shuriken are going to do, you know, X more amount of damage, or this type of ninja magic will be a lot faster while this is turned on, but in exchange, you know, you're nerfed in some other way. And so it's a game with a lot of balance to it. It's just so fun is the thing I need to keep emphasizing. From the starting point of the game, it just feels right. You've got a great double jump. You eventually get a glide mechanism, so platforming is a breeze. There are some sections that are a little bit more difficult. Like there are some very hard platforming sections, especially later in the game, that are going to drive you insane. And there are sections of the game that are intended to just be there for it to be a challenge to you, the player. And that is fine. You know, it's there because this is a game that is not just for novitiates, but it is for people of all skill levels. And for the most part, you are not required to do any of these like incredibly difficult platforming sections, but you do get really cool power-ups if you do. And so you're incentivized to do it. And that it makes a really rewarding gameplay loop. I don't know. I just wanted to come on and gush about ninjas because ninjas are cool, and ninjas in video games are really cool. I stand by my theory that ninjas are one of the great pillars of video game construction, because they just are so cool and have such a great power fantasy that fits so well. And frankly, video games came up at the same time the ninja craze hit the United States. So, you know, we're down for that kind of thing. But yeah, Shinobi Art of Vengeance. It is available on all your modern platforms. You can play it on just about anything. I'm sure it will come out on things like Android and iPhone eventually. But at the moment, it's like all your modern consoles, on Steam, all that. Play it. It's a lot of fun. And apparently there's more DLC coming out soon where you can fight classic Sega bosses like Dr. Robotnik or Death Adder from Golden Axe. It's so cool. This is a series that has always been a lot of fun. If you ever want to just go back and have a great time, check out any of the Shinobi games. Even though I'm really partial to the Game Gear ones, the Genesis ones are great too. And this game is clearly in love with the franchise as a whole. There are missions that are ripped straight out of Shinobi 3 for the Genesis. There are, like I said, so many nods to the Game Gear. It's just a really cool game that really loves the lore that led into it, and produced a game that is just cathartic. It is just so nice to play. You just enjoy yourself while you're doing it. You just feel good. And that's so cool. And not every video game is that way. Like some video games, it's all about the story, and some games are fun to play, but under the right circumstances. This one just feels good. As your thumbs move and press the buttons in the right order, you're just having a good gosh darn time. And I just wanted to gush about this game because I had such a good time with it. And I think that everyone should check it out. I realize that it kind of got buried in the press because it came out right after Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, which is, you know, a slightly more venerated ninja series, and they're very similar. Even the new names are very similar. Ragebound versus Art of Vengeance are similar kind of concepts. But I want to say that Shinobi Art of Vengeance is worth checking out. It's really fun. And I think anyone who tries it will agree. And so, yeah, check that out. And then if you enjoyed this sort of gush fest about Shinobi Art of Vengeance, you should check out the stuff I work on. I am a podcaster and YouTuber. I'm part of the Certain POV podcast network. And so I've got a bunch of shows. I host two podcasts. One is Another Pass, which is a movie analysis show. And the other is Men of Steel, which is a Superman and Superman adjacent show. In addition to that, I also am running Trade School, which is a podcast that is similar to SideQuest, but it's about comic books instead of video games. So you should definitely check that out. I've got other stuff in the works, and there's all kinds of stuff I'm putting up on the Certain POV Media YouTube channel. So check those out. You can find that at youtube.com/certainpovmedia. But yeah, check out all those things. We're doing a lot of cool stuff here, and I hope you all enjoy the work we're putting out. I hope you enjoyed this episode of SideQuest, and until next time, happy gaming. Hey, Nerf herders.
You sure you want to go with that?
Hey, everyone?
There we go. More inviting.
Have you ever had a movie that you really wanted to love, but something holds you back?
Or one that you did love in spite of a flaw?
Well, I'm Case Aiken.
And I'm Sam Alisea.
And on Another Pass, we sit down with cool guests to look at movies that we find fascinating.
But flawed.
And we try to imagine what could have been done when they were made to give them that little push.
We're not experts. We just believe in criticism.
Constructive criticism.
Sure.
So come take another pass at some movies with us.
And every now and then, we can celebrate movies that did it on their own, too.
You can find us at certainpov.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Pass it on.
CPOV.
certainpov.com.